So I'm glad. 2025 is going to be amazing.
Yes.
That's right. I was like, we were sick for the end of 2024. Now we get to be healthy.
Yep.
Yes.
Sane. That's what I'm projecting.
Yes.
That's what I'm manifesting.
Yep.
Same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, whole year of no sickness.
Yes. 100%. All right.
Ready?
Count us down.
Guess what, guys?
We're not doctors.
No, we are not.
If you're going to be making any major medical decisions, please consult your doctor.
Yes, and that includes diets, exercise, medications, and surgery.
We love you guys.
And we want you to be in our OSLP family forever.
So be careful
And consult
your doctors.
Welcome back, OSLP family.
Welcome back, OSLP family.
Welcome.
You're listening to our Sleep Life podcast, and this is Kelly.
This is Matt.
My brain just like stuttered there for a second.
Oh, I almost didn't do the opening with you. So,
yeah, I felt that you were a little late. You were a little late at that.
It's been a while, guys.
It has been a while. And speaking of it being a while, we have a guest on that you guys may know as my twin.
Yes. And you love her.
I do love her. And she's also been at JVY the last 2. And she has won numerous awards.
Yes, she has.
And so, yeah, they're up in her
That's
office.
right.
If you're
on
watching.
YouTube, you can see her.
Yes. So, welcome back on the show, Jamie.
Jamie, the sleep dietitian.
I missed you guys so much.
I missed you. It was
crazy.
And I've even seen you.
Mm-hmm. I told Kelly, I was like, next time you go out, I'm going with you.
She wants to come.
I want to come.
You guys might want to come out in June for Oliver's first birthday.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yes.
Decided on a theme. You want to hear the theme?
Yes.
Kelly's gonna lose it. We're gonna do for his first birthday, the chosen one for Harry Potter.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm totally in the planning of this.
I know. I already have a Pinterest board. I want to do I want to do it on that day. Let him crawl to see like what his house is.
I was wondering if you were going to do that.
I was about to
Do
ask.
it on his birthday because we're gonna do like a whole Harry Potter theme.
Oh, I love it.
That's
Oh
gonna
my
be
God.
fun and
Yeah.
beautiful.
So when is his birthday?
June 7th. So today is January 7th. He's 7 months today, which I don't even know. I don't understand time anymore. But yeah.
Yeah.
fair.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
we're going to be on that side of the world
yeah.
for ASMBS.
That's what I'm
Because
thinking.
it's at DC. So we can just do a little hop, skip, and go to Jamie.
We'll just bop over there.
That's what we call it, a bop.
A bop.
I will let you guys know once I officially have a date for the actual birthday party. But yeah, everyone.
Yes. We will be there.
Yeah, we will definitely be. I will be with her. I want
Yes.
to meet Oliver.
Yes.
I love little babies because I can fit them in I like to sit up with my knees and they can just sit right there on your lap.
That's how Jamie sits with him.
Oh, I love it. I remember playing with Dylan's toes and his
Oh my
little
god,
fingers.
the little baby feet are my freaking favorite. He's honestly like he's a little Gemini baby, like Kelly. So he's
A little feisty.
so like social and like curious, like everything like. He's so curious about, and like he'll look at you and he just kind of goes like this, like with his eyes all wide, and then he'll smile. It's just he's so cute. He's
I
a very
love it.
cool guy.
Yeah, and his name. I've always loved the name Oliver.
Thank you.
So
It's so
my
funny.
Ollie Oxenfree.
It's funny because I was super convinced when I got pregnant. I was like, it's a girl. So like my whole pregnancy has taught me like maybe I shouldn't trust my intuition so much because I might be wrong. But I thought for sure he was a girl. And I know they say they're not technically genetic, but identical twin girls run in my family. My mom is an identical twin girl. She has identical twin girl cousins on both sides. So because I was so sick and my HCG, like my pregnancy hormone was so elevated, I was like, oh my God, what if it's twins? Like, so I had in my head, I was like, no, it's for sure a girl. No one's telling me otherwise. Like, I know my body. It is a girl. And I thought for sure it'd be like twin girls. So like in my head, I had all these girl names picked out and I was solid on them. And I had very few boy names because in my mind, I'm like, but it's not a boy. It's not even, it's a boy. So
it's a boy.
I had 0 names picked out. We liked the name James. That's actually my dad's middle name.
I like that.
We liked that for our first name. And then we were like bouncing ideas around. Me and Steve were going over like baby name lists, and I came across Oliver and I really liked it. And Steve's like, yeah, I like it. I'm like, it's not like necessarily the one, but it's a good contender. And then just over time, we started just referring to him as Oliver. And I'm like, I guess that's his name now. So his name's Oliver James.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
Which is, he's so adorable.
So apparently, and I looked at all the lists, but like when you look at like the baby name list of like the most popular, they look at the previous years.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2024 like most popular baby names just came out, and of course Oliver is like number 2 or something for boy names.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, like here I am thinking it's like more unique. You don't hear of many Olivers, and I guess it was like a big name for last year, but it didn't show up in any of like the most popular lists because I didn't want one like crazy popular. But I'm like, whatever.
Well, he's gonna go to school and have like 7 other Olivers in his class.
I said to my mom last night, but whatever. I love the name.
Yeah.
Everyone else seems to love it too.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I think Ollie is just is just cute.
It's a cute name.
It is.
Yeah.
Call him. I think every mom probably calls their babies all sorts of names that aren't their names, like their nicknames.
Yeah.
I always call him Oliver Noodle. So he's the reason I call him that is so my mom's like lifelong best friend who's been in my life, like she's like my aunt, like known her forever. She had a dog named Oliver that she called Oliver Noodle. So the whole time I was pregnant, she's like, oh, another Noodle, another Oliver Noodle. So it just like stuck. So I call him Noodle. I'm like, so I'm always like, hey Noodle, like
that's cute. I love
that's a cute name.
So I always he's Oliver Noodle. He's little man, baby cakes. Like I have all sorts of like I very rarely just call him Oliver. He's Noodle.
Yeah, he's Noodle. Oh, that's gonna be so fun when he's like older, and you could be like, "Hey, Noodle,
hey Noodle, get over here."
I love it.
Well, Jamie, for those that don't know you, can you explain to them who you are, what you've done? I'm kind of getting them caught up. Who's Jamie?
And where are you at now?
Yeah. So hi, I am Jamie. I am a registered dietitian and I specialize in bariatric surgery. And the reason for that is I have bariatric surgery. So some of you might know me as the sleep dietitian on social media. I had my VSG back in 2017. I just hit my 7-year post-op mark. Yeah. And it's funny because one of the biggest questions I get asked is, you know, did you become a dietitian after you had your weight loss surgery? And while technically I like passed everything and that's a yes, I started my process of becoming a dietitian long before.
Yeah.
Having surgery. And it's actually, for those that don't know, it's a very long process to become a dietitian. Not all nutritionists are dietitians and not all health coaches are dietitians. And I could get into that tangent another time. But to be a registered dietitian, you need to get your bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics. You have to go through, it's very competitive to get into an internship program. So after you complete your degree, you have to get into a clinical internship, which is more or less a residency for a year where you have to do like your clinical hours, you have to pass the board exam, you have to maintain CEU. So it's quite the process. So I would say I started that long before. I was in my dietetic internship year, the craziest year of clinicals, the busiest year was when I had my surgery. And it's the whole reason I went into this field and the whole reason for me being here is I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I had childhood obesity. I was over 200 pounds at the time I was 10. When I was 14, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had done every diet under the sun, and I had really poor experiences, honestly, with dietitians throughout my adolescence, and I wanted people to have a better experience. I really thought I was going to specialize in PCOS patients, which, of course, I still get to work with those people because so many people in the bariatric space have PCOS as well. But once I had my weight loss surgery, I realized, like, holy cow, like, this is a process. Like, I carried a lot of my own shame and guilt going through the process because I felt very alone. I had listened to a lot of what society had said about it being cheating. Like I felt very like hypocritical. I'm like, here I am a dietitian and I still need help. And it's, you know, obviously over the years, like I've learned firsthand, like, no, this is still a lot of work. Obesity is a disease. And I've now advocated immensely for proper obesity care. And that's really what my platform is about now, between bariatrics as well as bariatric surgery, as well as GLP-1 medications. Fast forward, I went on a GLP-1 for the first time, I think about in 2022, so a handful of years ago now. I had lost quite a bit of weight after weight loss surgery, rebounded a little bit, and then learned about the GLP-1s and was like, I want to get this. It wasn't a ton of regain. It was like 25 pounds or so, but it was enough to make me uncomfortable and frustrated. So I ended up going on a GLP-1, learned how incredible those tools are, have done so much research. I ended up writing a book, The Easy Way Out, Why Bariatrics Isn't Cheating Obesity, It's Treating It. Hit the #1 bestseller list on Amazon, which is pretty cool.
Yay!
So
We're very, very proud of you for that.
Yeah.
We have the books. We hear all good things about your book. So guys, definitely go and get the book. It is a great, easy read, and you learn mission.
We love ProCare. You guys know this. And guess what? They have a brand new product out and it tastes like an orange Tic Tac.
That's right. I have got it in my hot little hands right now. It's their easy to swallow tablet in Citrus Grove. And both of us have fully switched over to it.
We had to because it's easy to swallow, doesn't stick, and it has 45 milligrams of iron. And we both need that.
Yes, we do. So go to procarenow.com to take care of all your bariatric body needs. And our code is the only one that gets you a full 15% off. So use code OSLP at checkout. Are you feeling a little sluggish? Little lack of protein? Little lack of caffeine? Well, we got the fix for that.
That's right. Dive Bar Nutrition has the best protein bars. They have caffeine, protein, and they taste delicious.
So head on over to divebarnutrition.com and use code OSLP at checkout.
Yeah, it's very, very well written.
Yes. The one thing that is a struggle for me, though, is when I started writing it, it was like there's been so much more research on GLP-1 since I published it. And I mentioned that in the book. Like, by the time you read this could be different, and it has been. So at some point, I would love to go back and update like chapters or do bonus chapters because there's so much more research on that.
That'd be cool.
When I wrote the book, Zepbound wasn't even on like the market yet.
Yeah.
So there's just been a lot of change there. But, you know, I feel confident saying I think I was one of the first voices in the surgical bariatric space really advocating for them and talking about them. Got a lot of pushback for that, and I still do. But then once I lost that bit of regain, even more so, I, just after coming off of a really wild year of publishing a book and travel and all the things, decided I was ready to start a family. So, with my history with PCOS, I wasn't really sure what that would look like. And I was very scared because I've been told by every doctor since I was 14, you might never get pregnant. This might be a real struggle. And I truly believe that between the GLP-1s, as well as my weight loss surgery journey and all the health efforts I've made, I was very fortunate and lucky enough to be able to conceive. And I fell pregnant end of last October.
Yep.
And my baby Oliver, like we were just talking about, I had him on June 7th. So he came a full month early. I had a rough pregnancy, which I'm sure we'll get into, but now I am about 7 months postpartum, working on losing the baby weight and honestly just figuring out what my life looks like now between owning a business, supporting this community, being a mom, being on this new chapter of my weight loss journey after having worked so hard to get to where I was. Now I'm in a different spot. So that's been, its own internal struggle sometimes, but we're working through it.
Yeah, I would imagine, because I was wondering, that's one of my questions actually. Like, you did the bariatric surgery, you were successful, you had a little bit of regain, got your GLP-1s, and then, you have pregnancy. And I know a lot of people come to bariatric surgeries and GLP-1s so they can get pregnant. Yeah. Like, PCOS is a real problem.
Yes.
A lot of doctors seem to act like it's not, and that's why you have to find one. You have to find one that understands what's going on. Yeah. But I know me, it's like we're all deadly scared of gaining weight after losing so much. So, one, did you gain any weight? Two, how did that work with your mindset? Like, what happened?
So the purpose of this episode is not to scare anyone, but it is also to bring forth some realities.
Yes.
So initially with my weight loss surgery, I had lost like 112 pounds, had regained about 25 just over the years. I've talked about this before. I had some switches in birth control, some PCOS symptoms resurfacing, which is also why I believe the GLP-1s, had helped immensely with being able to conceive, because it kind of recalibrated a lot of those hormone issues for me.
Yeah.
So from my very highest weight to my very lowest, I had lost about 140 pounds total. I did put about 10 pounds back on before getting pregnant, but that was actually intentional because I was very diligently strength training at my CrossFit gym and with my personal trainer. So we were tracking my in-body scans, and I remember being so proud when I gained that weight because it was like purely muscle. So I had like 22% body fat. So I wasn't just low in weight. I was also the leanest, healthiest, and most muscular and toned I'd ever been.
Yes.
So I was like really feeling great. Like I was on top of the world. I tried to be mindful with like numbers and comparison, but I was also like just having so much muscle mass and being as fit as I was. Even though I wasn't the lowest possible weight, I was the smallest. So when I got pregnant, I was wearing size 2 jeans. Like I was a tiny person at that time, but also very fit. I just felt so proud and so healthy. So while I was scared of letting go of some of that and gaining weight back during pregnancy, I don't think I anticipated to gain as much as I did for a few reasons. And I was so, I guess, a little naive, but determined to be that cute, fit, pregnant girly at the gym. Like, even if I had to scale back, like, I really wanted to still maintain so much of my health. As a dietitian, it was really important to me to fuel properly for pregnancy, be up on my prenatals, like, have nutritious foods. I did a lot of research for, like, nutrition in pregnancy. Like, I was ready.
Yeah.
And then the universe said, let me just teach you some more lessons and let's just, like, have a little bit more growth under here. So, I will share, I ended up developing what's called hyperemesis gravidarum, HG. So that is a condition that you can develop while pregnant. It's a fancy term for excessive nausea and vomiting. It is not your standard morning sickness. It is constant extreme nausea all day, all night, the entire pregnancy, as well as continued vomiting. I was vomiting like 8 to 9 times per day the first like 5 months. Wow. And then I was on 6 different anti-nausea medications around the clock that stopped the vomiting. I still would occur from time to time, but it was like here and there versus all day every day. So I did get some relief, but the nausea never left me. So all that to say, I could not go to the gym.
No, there's no way.
I couldn't even drink plain water without projectile vomiting. So I also developed horrific heartburn. I was on 2 different meds for heartburn because I would wake up in the middle of the night throwing up acid and bile on top of it. So it was just like one thing after the next. And it was so freaking defeating because I also, everyone's subject to the comparison game. And I would see other pregnant girls like happy and living their life and going and doing things and wearing the cute pregnancy clothes and rocking the bump and doing all the things. And here I was in bed. I had just come off of such a high of like the best year of my life, traveling the world. I had gone on this really amazing retreat in Mexico with other business owners. I had, me and Steve went to Jamaica. We went to Disney a few times. I traveled all over for different bariatric things. I'd gone to Las Vegas. Like, I not only wrote a #1 best-selling book, but I traveled the world as I did it. And it was so empowering.
Yeah.
So I had gotten to this point where I was between my weight loss, my muscle gain, professionally, like I was so confident for the first time after years and years and years of low self-esteem and struggles. And it was so hard to realize how drastically my life had changed in a matter of weeks because, and Kelly knows because she was here with me visiting when I first found out I was pregnant. I was 5 weeks pregnant very early and I was very sick.
She was very sick. Like, we had all these plans to go do all these things and she's like, I'm so sorry. I can't. And I was like, I'm fine. Like, I can hang out on the couch with Lilo.
Hanging out for the first trimester, everyone's like, it'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better.
Yeah.
So, and the way I describe people is it felt like I had a stomach bug that lasted 9 months.
Yeah.
So it was really hard and really defeating. And you would think I would have lost weight from all the vomiting.
Yeah.
It is very typical for many people. Like, I was in a couple like Facebook support groups, which are not always supportive, but these ones were like other women with hyperemesis that I connected with. Many did lose weight, but that's not always the case either. So between me not working out anymore, who knows, God knows what my hormones were doing. And the fact that you want to know what my diet was the entire pregnancy? This is so defeating. And Kelly can tell you the only things I could tolerate the whole time was full sugar soda. I was never a soda drinker, not even before weight loss surgery. I never drank full sugar soda in my life. The only thing that mildly relieved the nausea and took it away was ice cold full sugar Coke. Even ginger ale, I was throwing up. I would throw up Gatorade. Like, I threw up apple juice. So forever. And it's really interesting because in the hyperemesis support group I was in, just talking to other women, apparently Coke is like universally helpful when you have, like, so many women were like, Coke is my safe food. Like, I can have Coke and it doesn't make me throw up, or it makes me feel better for the moment. I don't know what it is. But so I was drinking, again, regular water made me vomit. I don't know why, but it did. I couldn't drink any of my sugar-free stuff without throwing up. I even had really strange aversions to the cups I would use. So, like, I love these Swig Life cups, kind of like what you guys have, like the tumblers.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when I was pregnant, unless the cup was clear and see-through, I could not drink out of it without gagging and vomiting.
Whoa.
That's so crazy.
I don't
You
know
didn't
if
tell
it's
me
like
that.
a weird instinct of like, I need to see it for like safety or whatever. But if it was not clear and see-through, I would be repulsed and gagging. So like, if I couldn't see it, I couldn't drink it. So that was weird. So I was drinking soda all the time, which, you know, as a dietitian who had lost over like 140 pounds and had done all these things, I was like, who am I?
Yeah.
So that was defeating. But when you are that sick and that nauseous and it's the one thing that makes you feel better, and then
you need to.
And then the only food that I would have some good days where I could try a bite of this or a bite of that. Every once in a while, ice cream would sit really well for whatever reason. So I would have ice cream, which fine, I needed something. And then the other thing was, oddly enough, I don't know why, but you guys ever have Cliff bars? Those, like, they're not really protein bars. They're more like energy bars. They're pretty dense. For whatever reason, the macadamia nut flavored like white chocolate ones were the only things that like sat well with me. I ordered cases every week from Amazon. There was one day I remember texting my sister, it was like 9 p.m. I was like, I've had 8 Cliff bars today because I still needed to eat. But that was so like the thing that bugs me the most about all the weight gain is not only was I sick, it's not like I was like living it up enjoying the food.
Right.
Everything was an aversion. I threw up daily. And here I am just drinking this sugar and eating these energy bars. So yeah, I was getting the calories in. Obviously, they didn't all stay in. And the weight gain didn't really start to happen till like halfway through. Because I remember I did blind weigh-ins because I just didn't want to see the number. I like couldn't handle it anymore. Like reasons to be distraught. But I remember my doctor sat down with me about halfway through my pregnancy, and before even like asking how I was feeling or asking like what I ate that day or whatever, she's like, I really need you to eat more. So I think at one point I actually lost weight. And then towards the end, I think I started rapidly gaining because I wasn't vomiting anymore. I was still nauseous, so I was still having super simple sugars and the soda. And then I developed preeclampsia and got really swollen.
Can you explain to people what preeclampsia is?
So I didn't realize this before. So there's like, I think it's called like prenatal like hypertension. So you can get high blood pressure while you're pregnant, which is dangerous, but that doesn't necessarily mean preeclampsia. So preeclampsia is when your blood pressure is so high that technically your organs start to shut down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I developed the high blood pressure in the last trimester, which again, when I was at my heaviest weight, my most unhealthy, I had never had high blood pressure, not even once. So I'm like, what in the world? Which I realized it wasn't and it was hard for me to understand at the time. Like, this isn't a reflection of you and your habits. This is your body and your hormones doing, like, because I'm so quick still to beat myself up or blame myself because that's just what happens when you grow up being overweight. But my doctor never once made me feel bad about my weight. She never brought it up except for when she was concerned I wasn't gaining enough. But again, it kind of swung the other way in the latter half. But so I was hospitalized many times during my pregnancy for both dehydration because I was throwing up a lot, not able to take in much. Obviously, soda is not the most hydrating thing. So I was hospitalized for dehydration. And then I had been hospitalized a few times for the high blood pressure. So towards the last few weeks of my pregnancy, I was going into my doctor's office, I think 2 or 3 times a week for non-stress test, like monitoring. So basically they put a little monitor on your belly and listen to the baby's heartbeat for like an hour to make sure things are fine and check your blood pressure. And a couple of times my blood pressure was so high, they sent me straight to the hospital. So I think that happened 4 times and they would discharge me and send me home. And then the last time it happened, because it was still not technically preeclampsia, it was just quote like just the high blood pressure, and I had to monitor it at my blood pressure at home and record it and all the things, but the last time that they sent me in, I was 36 weeks pregnant to the day. I got there for my non-stress test. I forget exactly what the number was, but my blood pressure was like crazy high. They're like, okay, well, you just walked up a flight of stairs and it's hot out. Like, let's just give it a minute, see if it comes down. It didn't. It went back up again.
Oh.
So they were like, you are going to the hospital. And my doctor had told me a week before, just keep your hospital bag packed just in case. So I was in my car. I drove myself to the hospital. My mom and Steve met me there, and they tested like my urine and found protein in it. So that is like one of the clinical indicators that it's preeclampsia, not just high blood pressure. Okay. So because of that, my doctor and the team decided to take him out. So I had my C-section that night. Which I also, lucky me, threw up until having him. I threw up on the C-section table. So I'm laying flat on my back, completely numb, having a C-section and vomiting. So I'm like, you know what, let's just one last hurrah.
Yeah, one last puke before it goes away.
Yeah.
It was, all that to say, it was a really defeating year for a lot of reasons, and it was a really hard pregnancy. But the one thing I do want to stress in this call, like I cannot stress enough, is the reasons for all of this had nothing to do with my weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
Hyperemesis is not linked to weight loss surgery. So many people have the best, healthiest pregnancies. Everyone is just so different. I just had a sucky, like, go around, and that's not the case for the majority. So I got that question a lot, like, is it because of your surgery? And no. And my doctor confirmed no. So, but it just goes to show you, like, it was a very humbling, excruciatingly painful, but, like, humbling experience to go from the fittest, like I said, I think I had 22% body fat. I was super lean, super healthy, to being completely debilitated. And the one thing I didn't mention is on top of the hyperemesis, on top of the preeclampsia, I also developed antenatal depression, which I was just explaining to you guys before this call. That antenatal depression, I didn't know was a thing, but
yeah, either.
Postpartum depression while you're pregnant, essentially. So the hormones cause you to be like I was severely clinically depressed in conjunction with being physically sick did not help. So I was like, my friends and family around here say like I was a complete shell of myself. Like I was the person I was. I had really, really dark, really icky thoughts, things that were just not me. Like it was a really dark, awful time, which is so sad because it should, quote, should have been such a happy, joyful time. And it wasn't. And it was so hard to like grin and bear it when everyone around you's like, yeah, but you're having a baby. But like, just like, you're going to be so happy. It's going to be so worth it. Like, it's not going to last forever. But when you are in that dark, deep, depressive state, throwing up every day, not feeling 1 ounce like yourself, it is so hard to recognize like what's on the other side. But I will say, as soon as I had him, by the next morning, I felt normal. The depression was gone. I was in like kind of that postpartum like cloud where everything's a little fuzzy, but like that was gone. The nausea was gone. The next morning, I was drinking coffee, eating an egg sandwich. I was like, this is fantastic. Yes. Steve go out that day and get me, I was craving like this like Caesar salad that we have at one of the local restaurants here. He went and got that for me because I couldn't eat anything like that my whole pregnancy. So it was wonderful to finally feel better. So it was crazy is after coming through that like heightened experience of having that the baby that night, all these things, having like the fact that I was hours out from recovering from a C-section and I felt better than I had in like 10 months is very telling.
Yeah,
it is
for sure.
It really is. And I'm really happy that you pinpointed, like, guys, this is not because of bariatric surgery. Like, I've heard what you have gone through a couple other people that I've worked with at the Department of Revenue. And when they told me what it's like, and then Kelly told me what you were going through, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. Because those, like, everybody knows, like, the first 3 months, you're going to puke, whatever. But to have it last,
and the acid reflux.
The acid reflux and the depression. Like, it's not talked about enough. So everybody's like, what is this? I don't know. Like, because it isn't like, it's not going to happen to everybody. But
it's not super typical.
No.
All the women in my family, my mom, my aunt, my sister, my cousin, and my mom and aunt are identical twins, were more genetically linked and similar. All of them had very similar pregnancy experiences where they were nauseous the first trimester, never really puked, and then were fine. So I was like, I just got to hold out. And that was not my experience. So even like the women in my family were like, I didn't know this could happen.
Yeah. Because you just don't know. You don't hear it. And I'm just happy to know that like it did a full 180. You're back to your old self. I know there's probably some residuals after this, but still you're able to eat.
Yeah.
You're not puking.
Yes.
You
I
have a
will
beautiful
never-
baby.
I will never, ever in my life again, ever take for granted the beauty of having like an able body to do things
Yeah.
and to be able to eat. And like, I'll never, ever take for granted again being able to have truly the luxury and privilege of eating a healthy, balanced meal. Like, it's given me a totally different perspective of like, oh, I have to eat this way, to like, no, I literally get to do this. I literally get to go to the gym. I get to get up every day and feel good. Because until that is taken from you, you cannot fathom what it's like. And I know Kelly probably can a bit because you've dealt with chronic illness, and this gave me such a deeper empathy for people who struggle with chronic illness. Like, obviously, like, thank God this was temporary, but again, it's just given me a deeper understanding for people who are struggling in different capacities, like what they must go through, because what I went through was truly debilitating. And sometimes, I don't know, there's a lot of different like rhetoric online that can play with your head and stuff in every niche, but like following different like pregnancy pages or like mommy pages, so some of the comparison can be really real. And one of the sayings that I hear a lot is, pregnancy isn't a disability. Like, you can still do all the things. I'm like, no, but for some people it is.
Yeah.
For me, like, it truly, truly was.
Yeah.
And like, there's one girl who I am an acquaintance with, like, locally here, who's like a wonderful person. Like, it's nothing towards her. She was pregnant within the same year as me, and she's like super fit and always posts her like workout stuff. But she was like able to maintain beautifully. Like, she was like, I had to like mute her, even though like I was super proud of her. I had to mute her because she would still post like her CrossFit workouts with her belly, and I'm like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be that person. So seeing posts from not just her but other pages where it's like, pregnancy is not a disability, you can still do these things, I'm like, no, but for some of us it is. It was so sucky to be in that spot and be like, wow, like, I worked so hard to get to this super healthy place and help other people do it too, and here I am just literally laying in bed.
Well, and I'm happy that you have also brought up the fact that, like, hey, the comparison game is very scary. We all have done it.
We all still do it.
We all still do it, depending on what you're doing. Like, whether you're going through bariatric surgery, whether you're doing GLP-1s, whether you're pregnant. Like,
I had a couple friends, like, locally who I'm really good friends with, which is so nice now because we all have babies together. So I have, like, 3 girlfriends here. 2 of them have like 4 months olds, and the other one's baby is like 2 months older than mine. So we get together and do things with the babies, and it's great. And they're wonderful and so supportive. But like, I find myself even comparing, I'm like, oh, but so-and-so lost more weight postpartum than me, and they had their baby later, like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, Jamie, like, stop. But it's so easy to be like, oh, well, so-and-so's back in her genes from before surgery, or before pregnancy. And I'm not. And I feel like the comparison when you're pregnant or postpartum is very, very real too. And I didn't realize that.
Well, and I'm happy that you muted it. Like,
well, I think advocate for that too is, you know, it's not other people's responsibility to not trigger me. It's my responsibility to protect my own energy. So if you, and I say this all the time, if you follow anyone in any capacity, especially like in the weight loss surgery community, that makes you feel bad about yourself, one, that's an invitation for you to look a little bit deeper as to why and what's going on. It's an opportunity for growth. But 2, it is up to you to reserve your energy. So you can still love that person. You can still, you know, cheer them on, but maybe you just mute them so that you only go look at their stuff when you're in a emotional space to do so. Versus it popping up and making you feel bad.
100%. Because that's the one thing I think we need to get into more of a habit of is you don't have to unfriend them or unfollow them. Just mute them until you can be at a better mental state when you're looking at their stuff. Because you're right. I hear the comparison game with the patrons and everything, and then like it's not someone else's responsibility to make you feel better.
100%.
And that needs to be talked about more too, because you're feeling something. And it's just because of a photo of me, right? It's like, I was just posting.
I look at it as, I've done a lot of mindset work and a lot of like internal like growth things over the years in different capacities. And like, I've learned like, if something makes me feel icky or like, ugh, like that's my responsibility to take care of and look at. It means I have work to do. I've worked with specifically a mindset coach who's wonderful over the years. And one of the things I've done with her is a lot of shadow work. So if anyone has ever done shadow work, you know, it's like super icky. Anyone who doesn't know what that is, shadow work is, you obviously would want to do this with like a professional. But shadow work is kind of like when you look at the parts of yourself that you bury, and the way you sort of identify that is by looking at things that you judge other people for. So if you're like, ugh, she's so obnoxious. Like, she is so full of herself. Like, who does she think she is? Like, that everyone has that like icky little voice in their head. If you're judging someone else for that, it could be because like you were taught as a child that being loud and vocal is bad and shameful. So you feel like you can't be that way. So when you see other people being confident, it triggers you. That's just like one very generic example.
Yeah,
but like the shadow work is like the parts of ourselves we bury and feel like we can't be or are ashamed of. When we see those traits in other people and we judge, it's a projection of something that we need to work on. 100%. So again, that's not my area of expertise. That's just something I've worked on over the years, and it's icky because like no one wants to face their own like ugh, but it's super important. So I had done a lot of this work before getting pregnant, and then I was faced with a whole new set of challenges to really look at. You don't really stop growing once you start looking at stuff.
And you did therapy throughout your pregnancy. And
so I've done therapy since before weight loss surgery. I've been in therapy for many years, specifically. Well, back in the day, like way before weight loss surgery, for like disordered eating habits, when I was starting with PCOS and trying to lose weight, before I was a dietitian, overly restricting, that sort of thing. And then mostly for anxiety over the years. Anxiety and OCD, which turns out are more or less symptoms of my late ADHD diagnosis that I got. So yeah, but I had gotten to a place where I was seeing my therapist like maybe once a month, just kind of like for maintenance sort of. And then when I got pregnant, I went back to seeing her weekly, sometimes twice a week. I was in a really rough spot. Really, really rough.
But I'm glad that you still got help.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't just like fully
and we even had to increase my antidepressant. So like my antidepressant is for anxiety, but it can help with depression, which again was never really a struggle before. So my psychiatrist actually like increased it during pregnancy, and I was in such rough shape. I was like, fine. Like she said, it was totally safe and fine for the one that I'm on, but I was like, well, go ahead.
Yeah, do it. Do whatever can make me feel better. That's definitely what it's like.
I also wasn't on my ADHD meds.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
So like my executive dysfunction was like through the roof.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't get between the depression, the ADHD, like not being on those medications, all of it. I couldn't do a load of laundry. I couldn't take the mail from the table and like put it away. Like doing like the littlest task felt impossible.
Yeah.
I was explaining it to a friend of mine, and I don't know how else to like describe it, but like getting up off the couch to like walk to another room, it literally felt like you were walking against like water like flowing the opposite way. It was like trudging to get up and move. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it, but it was like, again, that's what I mean. Like I went from being so fit and capable and doing all these things and hustling and stuff to I can't get off the couch. So it also, I think, was a good lesson in like you have no choice but to listen to your body and rest. Like, like you simply can't power through this.
Yeah. There are some times that you just can't power through.
Yep. You've been there.
Yep.
So I will say my pregnancy changed me in a lot of ways. I am not even touching on the motherhood side and actually having the baby, who just anyone who didn't catch this before, like I am absolutely obsessed with my child. And I also never thought
as you should be.
I also like yes, 100% worth every single minute of this for him. But because my pregnancy was so bad, I had worried so much if I'd made a mistake, if I was truly meant for this, because I honestly loved the life I created for myself before having him. And I was scared of that before getting pregnant because I knew it would change.
Yeah.
But my whole pregnancy, I'm like, I must have made a mistake. I was not meant for this. I was meant to just be the fun aunt. I was not meant to be the mom. Like I am going like, and I think because I was so sick, I felt very disconnected to him during pregnancy, which again, supposed to be this beautiful time where you're connected to this little life inside of you. And I felt nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that was the depression.
It's the depression.
Yeah.
It was 100% the depression, because the moment he came out and I felt better, the way I've been in love with this human, I was just telling you guys before the call, like I literally like don't know who I am with my emotions anymore, because I look at him and I cry. I love him so much.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
Like my most favorite little human. I can't even imagine my life without him. Like I never in 1 million years would I want to go back to my life without him. So like I can come out on the other side and say it was all worth it, but in the midst of it, I could not see any of that. So it was a really hard challenge and lesson. And I was writing like an Instagram post the other day. I didn't post it yet, but I'm going to post it later this week. But I was basically just up late one night, reflecting and looking at all his pictures like I usually do, and just like writing and saying like, I refuse to not talk about that, like to silence this. Like I will never stop talking about how hard pregnancy was, because it's another one of those things that women feel ashamed to talk about because you're supposed to whatever. And it is so isolating when you are having a hard pregnancy like that, because your body and your life is changing in every capacity. And when you are so sick and depressed, it just feels wrong because it's not the time you think that will happen.
Well, and you feel alone because like you yourself said you had never seen anybody go through that as far as pregnancy. So you feel very alone because you're like, well, I don't know anybody who's gone through this. And so it's also,
like,
the more you talk about it, the more other people will talk about it. And
I'm not a huge fan of Facebook support groups for many reasons. I don't think they're usually very supportive, but the hyperemesis support group I was in was because it was all women who were like zero judgment, like we get it. And so many people, like we would kind of vent, or I'd look at other people's threads of venting, because while people mean well, a lot of the advice you get would not be helpful, because you'd get people who went through pregnancy, had a seemingly normal pregnancy, and were like, oh, well, just have ginger. Oh, just, have some ginger tea before bed.
Oh, like I didn't think of that.
Do you think
fine?
Try?
Yeah.
Yeah, like come on.
Well, and speaking of trying things, like, so the foods that you could eat, was it like you literally just tried little bits of anything you could think of?
I would try things so it's weird. I never had even like really one craving during pregnancy. It was all extreme food aversions. So I would look at foods I normally would like or love or used to eat, and I would like literally start to dry heave.
Oh, okay. So then the things that you weren't like had an aversion to, you were like, okay, I'll try this.
Yeah. So there were a couple things. Okay. So it may be a little extreme to say it was only Coke and Cliff Bars. That was like the vast majority. One of the other things that for whatever reason I could eat, and I always joke that Oliver must have loved cheese, because I could not eat real cheese, like actual slices of cheese, but anything that was like artificially cheese flavored.
He's like, I'm down. Let's go.
So like one of the things I did eat a lot were the Quest nacho cheese chips. Something about the dusting of that fake cheesiness and the salt seemed to help sometimes.
Okay.
So
all I can think about is your love of the popcorn from Disney, the cheddar one.
Yeah,
I got that.
Huh?
Could you have that at all? Or?
Yeah, and I had some of that.
Okay, good.
But because even things that I liked or tolerated still didn't quite taste good. It was weird. Everything was very weird. Nothing tasted good. And the other thing, and this piece of it might have been from surgery, I don't know. But every time I would eat, I would get crazy full. So like, when you were first post-op and you would eat a couple bites and it would feel like it was stuck in like your chest or your throat. It's so tight. I don't know if that was from all the organs pushing up on my tiny belly plus being nauseous at baseline, but that stuck feeling would be there no matter what I ate for a long time, and it would make the nausea worse.
Oh, yeah.
Have to.
Because there's times that I take one bite too many, and I'm like, ugh, and you're like trying to...
It was also very confusing because I would be so nauseous and have food aversions, and I would feel better if I didn't eat. But then with pregnancy, you still get very hungry. So I'd be simultaneously nauseous and freaked out by food, but hungry.
That's a weird feeling.
It was very confusing. And I'd finally eat something, and then I'd be like, ugh, or I'd be like, you know what? That sounds good. Let me get it, or let me make it. And then I would, and I couldn't eat it. And I would throw up like the simplest things. There was one night, Steve made me just plain white like toast with butter. All came up. Like, who throws up toast?
I've only done it once, but yes, it's very dumb. It's stupid. I got mad when I have it. I was like, you're supposed to help.
Yeah.
I literally can't even think about saltine crackers because I tried that a lot in the beginning. Nope. Yeah. Again, and so recently I was sharing with you guys, I had a stomach bug over Christmas. It was awful. It put me right back in that like traumatized headspace.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have any of my normal things I would have while I have a stomach bug because it reminded me of being pregnant.
Yeah.
So Steve, because I was super dehydrated from the stomach bug, so Steve got me some like regular Gatorade. I couldn't drink it. I tried drinking it when I was pregnant, and I just couldn't.
Did you try the Pedialyte? I had 2 bottles of Pedialyte because I got so dehydrated.
No, I just tried my water as best I could, and I eventually bounced back. But because so many of those things I had tried while pregnant, I just can't even attempt to eat them. It's like I'm scarred.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was freaking out just because the reason why I had the two Pedialytes was because I could see almost every bone in my feet.
Yeah.
And it was freaking me out. And
My eyes
was
look so hollow. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So it was awful. But, and this is what I mean. Like, I don't want people listening to this and being so terrified or saying, like, I never want to get pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
again, this is not anything to do with the weight loss surgery. But I will say another piece we didn't really get to is, yes, I gained weight. I gained 70 pounds during my pregnancy from starting weight to highest at delivery day. Again, some of that, this is where I got really frustrated because a lot of that definitely was swelling.
Yeah.
It's not like it just fell right off either.
Yeah. No, it takes a few months.
So like the weight loss this go around has definitely, I don't like this term because again, it kind of sparks comparison, but it's been slow. Like it has not been like, oh, ta-da, like baby weight's just coming off. Like, I have lost about 37 pounds in the last 7 months, which is great.
That's
but
amazing.
It's like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight or my lowest, but I do want to lose at least another 20 to 30 pounds depending. And I'm like, you know what? If it takes me another 6-7 months, so be it. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's time. You can get there. Just let yourself get there.
Well, like I'm definitely losing the weight, but after, so like I said, last year or before I got pregnant, I was in a size 2 jean. I did end up buying a new pair of jeans postpartum, so I had something to wear, and they were a size 16. So to go from a size 2 to 16 in a year is very jarring, especially when it's and there's nothing wrong with any of those sizes. That's not the point of this. The point is like the drastic change that I had.
Yeah, it's a mind fuck. Like,
and I was like,
boy.
Yeah. So I ended up taking all of my pre-pregnancy clothes and packing them up in nice containers in the basement. And I got myself new clothes because I had to remind myself, like, I deserve to feel good in my clothes.
Yes, you do.
Even though, like, no matter what size.
Yep. Even though, and this is something that I think my journey has taught me because the resilience, like, I would not have been able to handle this. I don't think not very well if I hadn't already done so much inner work.
Yeah.
Yes, my body is bigger than it was last year. Yes, I have another like 30 pounds or so to lose. I'm nowhere near the size that I was. I'm nowhere near as lean. I am back in the gym.
Yeah.
But being consistent is hard because I have an infant at home who needs me. And if I don't have childcare or if he doesn't sleep well or whatever, sometimes my goal is 3 days a week and sometimes I can't make that happen. So I'm doing my best. No one really talks about how hard it is to take care of yourself and eat well and exercise when you are chronically sleep deprived. We're just coming out of that. So the last month or so, the baby's been sleeping really well. Up until like the first 5 months though, he was up like every like 1 to 2 hours. Nobody talks about like I can't function and even fathom going to the gym when I haven't eaten in 12 hours because I've been taking care of this baby and I have no hands.
Yeah.
So like I need to at first eat, but 2, I can't get, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many barriers that you don't have
time. Like timing and being physically able to do it. And mentally able, because I don't think we talk about that either. There's a mental to this part of going to the gym.
Yes.
100%.
And if you're worried about everything at home, it's not going to happen.
And I do try and go as often as I can, which a lot of times right now that is 1 or 2 times a week. And if that's what I'm capable of, that's what I do. And I go and I love my gym. It's a very small family owned CrossFit style, like personalized training gym. I go and I see my friends. It's really good for me socially and like mentally. So I do try my very best, but my body composition is not what it was at all before. But at the same time, like I have to remind myself, like I grew a whole human this year and it was hard and it's going to take time. And the one thing I will say to anyone worried is as much as like, I don't like, I have my moments and I'll look at pictures of me before and it makes me feel like, like a little defeated. I genuinely don't care about my weight the way I used to. And that is honestly very liberating and freeing. Because it used to be the center and focal point of so much for me. That now, especially having gone through so many health issues during pregnancy and just being so grateful for the body I have and so grateful that it was my baby's house for all those months and all the things that it's done, like the fact that I'm healthy and able to get up with energy in the morning and take care of my baby and go play with him and do all the things, that is enough for me.
Yeah, you've been humbled and you're grateful.
Yeah, and I'm not as lean as I was, but I'm working on it. Like I said, I ordered myself new cute clothes. I have a lot of cute sweaters I got this year that I'm just like enjoying and like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my best, and if that means leggings and a cute sweater in the winter, and I just, that's what makes me feel cute. That's what I'm going to wear. I'll do my makeup and try and feel the best I can. And the size of my body is genuinely the least interesting thing about me. So
Yes.
Yeah, well, you're a very interesting person. So
You are.
You do not need to worry about that. I do have 2 important questions.
Yeah.
Two that I've been developing while you're talking.
Developing.
Yes.
Love
So
it.
one is, if you know anybody like this, how can we support someone that's going through
Ooh, that's a
this?
good question.
I think so, like through like a hard pregnancy.
Like, how do
I
we
would
help
say
someone?
The best thing you can do is, 1, hold space for them and their feelings. So when they tell you I'm depressed, I feel like I made a mistake, whatever other dark thoughts come up, just validate it versus correcting it. So I think but you're pregnant, or like, or even when they're like, I'm so upset I'm gaining weight, you're like, but you're pregnant. It's like, yeah, I know I'm pregnant. Like, I think just letting them vent and holding space for them and validating is really important. The other thing, I can't even tell you how much it meant to me when people would check in on me. Because unfortunately, and this could be a whole other episode, pregnancy changes dynamics in relationships.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like, I unexpectedly lost some friends I never thought I would. What was even more interesting is, like, I had a particular, like, mom friend who kind of dropped off the face of the earth too, which I expected so much support from that person, and they just kind of disappeared. Never checked on me once, never reached out postpartum, said anything nice about my baby, and I don't know why, and it's left me very sad. So I've lost a couple of friendships for reasons I don't even understand. And it might not have anything to do with me. I don't know. Yeah. But to already feel isolated, alone, and like something's wrong with you and being so sick, to then feel like your friends are just moving on with life, or not. Like the people who actually noticed, hey, you don't seem like yourself, or hey, I haven't heard from you. How are you? That I can't even tell you how much that meant to me. Even just a simple, how are you? Or is there anything I can do? Which usually the answer was no, like, you checking on me is enough. Yeah. But like having people to show up for, so I think the best thing you could do is hold space for them, validate their feelings, remind them you're there, and just periodically check in, because they could probably use a little, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah. I know it feels good when I was sick and people would check on me.
Yeah.
Like, that felt good, and you really see who notices, cares. It's kind of interesting. To see all that. And then my second question is, so those that know Jamie well, she has had different plastic surgery. How did that affect you while pregnant? Like, how were the scars? Did anything freak you out?
So, I will just remind everyone, if you want to know about my plastics journey, go watch the OSLP episode, Oops, I Did It Again. I literally refer people to that episode all the time when I get plastics questions, because it's the most condensed conversation I've ever had of all of my plastic surgery journey.
Yes. That was a great episode.
Yeah. So I've had many rounds of plastic surgery. I've had breast augmentation, tummy tuck, conversion to FDL tummy tuck. I've had my arms done. I had a back lift. It all held up great. I will say, I didn't have like the most typical like round belly. Things were definitely tight. I definitely had a baby belly, but it wasn't like this big like round belly. And I think that could also just be the way I carried. But things like, like obviously I'm like bigger, but my belly is still flat, which is honestly like really nice. Again, my body is bigger, but I don't feel like my scarring looks weird. My belly button like a little bit. My arms are, they're bigger, not as toned, but they're fine. Like, I think as I lose weight, like, I don't think I'm gonna have any loose skin again for me. Personally. So
that's exciting.
My surgeon said he didn't think I'd have an issue either. So like everything has held up great. My scars don't look wonky. It's funny when my OB, I love her so much. When she was taking the baby out doing the C-section, I will say it didn't compromise anything medically, not at all. But it took them a while to sew me back up because of all my scar tissue in my abdomen. But she said, she's like, we're just taking a little longer because you have scar tissue, so we're just being extra careful. She's like, do you want, and she asked me before I had, like, she cut me open, she's peeked over like the screen, like when you're having your C-section, she's like, do you want this to overlap your other scar from your plastic surgery? I was like, yes, please. So she did the incision for like the C-section right where the incision already was for my tummy tuck. And she told me after her and the resident who was working under her were so proud because they're like, your scar was a little crooked and we fixed it. I'm like, which I never noticed it was a little crooked. It's so low you can't see, but she's like, you did it perfect. And she did. I have like the perfect scar.
Oh,
I love that. That's so cool.
We love her for that.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, you spent a lot of money to get a straight scar, so
like a little bit of like a baby like it's not like
yeah,
but it's not like hanging skin. It's just I think because I have more weight on me. But
Yeah.
honestly, and this I actually came on and said this recently. Having a baby changes your body in many ways. It definitely gave me more of a shape because I've never really had hips or like anything, and that's different now. And I'm like, I kind of like this. I feel like I'm more curvy. So like
Yeah.
I'm not entirely mad about it either. And people like said to me so many times when I was going through plastics, and this used to actually really bug me. So many people would be like, but what if you have a baby someday? And I'm like, one, I'm not putting, and at that point, I didn't even know if I wanted to have kids. There was a good portion of time where I was like, maybe I will just, be childless and I'm okay with that. Like I was really back and forth for a long time. And which I think is totally okay if that's your decision. But I was like, I'm not going to not do this or put my life on hold because I maybe someday might have a baby.
Yeah.
I had my weight loss surgery when I was 24. So like, I didn't want to put my life on hold for something I didn't even know if I was going to entertain.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I didn't like put it on hold because one, I probably wouldn't move forward with plastic surgery at this stage in my life after having a baby. At least I don't think I would.
Yeah.
But two, it gave me so much more confidence in those in-between years. And three, I'm still reaping the benefits of that. So it did not, for at least, everyone's different, but for me anyways, it did not ruin anything. And I am excited to see how my body continues to change as I slowly but surely, hopefully keep losing weight, keep getting back in the gym. And that's been the biggest thing is I'm truly just trying this go around to give myself as much space and grace and time as possible. And I've talked a lot about this on social media. Whenever I've been trying to lose weight before, I've always been a bit more strict, which I talk about. You have to prioritize. You have to be diligent if your goal is weight loss.
Yeah.
But I personally have chosen to allow more flexibility in this weight loss stage because I have done nothing but focus on my weight and diet and lose weight my whole life. So I'm doing it with a little bit of a different approach this time of having more flexibility. The weight is still coming off, but it is slower.
Yeah.
I still have, ice cream. I still have, I have more of like, quote, like fun foods than I typically would have earlier in my journey. And a big part of that is I want to demonstrate a really healthy relationship for my son. I don't want to sit out on family experiences. I don't want our conversations at the dinner table to be around food and weight. So they're not going to be. So if that takes me a little bit longer, and I'm not having ice cream for the sake of like setting an example for my son. But my point is, I don't want, like, I want to, it's really important to me to start good habits in him early and to start memories early. So I love in the wintertime on a Sunday having a crock pot meal going with, muffins or banana bread in the oven.
Yeah.
I want him to have that like memory of like mom's home cooked meal. Like I don't want it to be like, well, we have to have the low carb flour. You know what I mean? Like I want to just have good, wholesome homemade foods that include all foods. And I've always been an advocate for all foods fit, just not all the time. And that still rings true. If you want to lose weight, you do have to be strategic and diligent, but can prioritize. And in the very beginning of your surgery journey, balance comes with time. You need to really focus on that post-op diet. But here I am 7 years later, really understanding the ins and outs of all of this and helping other people. I'm okay. I've made peace with the fact that I'm going to be more lenient and lose weight slower. And that is okay. I will get there when I get there. This needs to be long-term and for life. And at this point in my journey, I had weight loss surgery and I'm on a GLP-1, but I'm pioneering the most of the work at this point. The tools work quite the same.
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
and they do, and they work the same depending on as long as you work the program.
Right.
Like it's one of those, and I want to take the time out to note, like, to spotlight you that you are a success story. If you had PCOS, you had weight problems in your youth, and you took control of your life, you got the bariatric surgery, you became a dietitian, and I want to stress to people
because
that's really fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a bachelor's, like, you have to do clinicals.
Yeah.
And I think that the dietitians in our sector don't get the respect that they deserve.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of you for doing that and being here for us. And also, you had a hard fucking pregnancy.
Yeah.
And you had plastics. Like, you are a unicorn that came out through this whole thing and you're still working, you're still doing you.
Thank you. I need that little pep talk. It's been a tough season. Because I've like so much of who I am and how I think and what I do is just like changed, and some of my philosophies on things have changed. And I think that's an important part of growth too on this journey, is allowing yourself to do things differently than before. So I'm not gotta hustle, gotta, hit all these goals. Like, I'll hit them when I hit them. For right now, I'm going to stay in this morning and snuggle my baby. It's a different season of life, and I've accepted that is okay.
Well, and you get to choose the timeline. Yeah, I think people forget that part. You get to choose it.
That's just it. I'm not trying to like race against time right now. There's no need. And I know because even though the weight loss isn't particularly quick or falling off, which is okay, and I can still have those moments of self-doubt and limiting beliefs as any human would, but it's coming off, and it's coming off in a sustainable way where I'm not restricting and I'm enjoying my life and I'm prioritizing protein and doing the best I can with what I have right now. So like I said, if it takes, who cares if it takes me even another year? If I get when I get there, I get there, and that's okay. So I'm trying to just be really present. I don't want to wish away these days because I already feel like time is flying and my little man is already 7 months old. Like, I don't want to be wishing time away. Like, I just want to be present and enjoy this time. So I'm trying to find my new normal and give myself that space. And I have to remind myself, like, I'm not where I was weight-wise, but it's not the most important thing. I'm still very healthy. I'm working on it. And I'm also still like 90 plus pounds down from my highest weight. Like,
that's incredible. Like, and I do want to tack on to what Mel was saying, that I have like actually worked with you as client and dietitian. And I can attest to, she helped me so much with my mindset. And like, I think that I needed more of the mindset than the actual food when I worked with you. Like, I understand the food. It was just the mindset.
To me, and you really wanted macros and calorie goals.
Yeah.
I remember asking you a couple questions and saying, would you be open to a different approach?
Yeah.
And you were like, there's a different approach? And I was like, yeah.
It was like, I was like, I don't know. Everybody just talks about macros. Like, I guess that's what I need.
This could be another conversation. For anyone who doesn't know, I don't count anything. So I'm a huge advocate. So I do think tracking and counting has its place, its time and place, and certain people do really well with it. I'm willing to just put that out there. I'm not against tracking or any of that. I think for some people, it's a beautiful tool. For me personally, in my history with disordered thinking and struggles with, like, the numbers cause me to spiral. They don't help me. So what I do is I help bariatric patients work on a lot of this mindset stuff I've been, speaking to today, but also understand really great critical thinking around nutrition so that you can make empowered choices and understand how the quality of your foods on your plate can reflect in your weight loss. So I teach you about the foods, how they work in your body, what happens when we eat them, what happens, when we don't, what that looks like, how foods pair together to do different things, how to create meals, how to create snacks, how to regulate hunger fullness, so that you can have this more sustainable, not number focused approach. And again, I'm not bashing anyone who likes the numbers or other clinicians who push that. I just know that particularly the women that I work with tend to do much better when we take the numbers out of the equation.
Yeah. And that's me. That's definitely
and
me.
I was going to say too, is like, you're teaching people what the why is. We are a bunch of people that love to know why, and no one really tells us. And I think that's why your clients work so well with you, is because we now know the why. Like, we're big advocates of you and your program, The Tribe. We fucking love everyone up there that's all about it. Yeah. So how about you tell people how they can find you, how they can sign up and be a member? Like,
so before we get to that, though, I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow, so you're listening to it on Tuesday.
Yes.
Wednesday, we are actually having Jamie on again as an expert call in our Benchies group.
Yes.
So you definitely want to sign up at patreon.com/OSLP before Wednesday so that you get the link and you can join in on the conversation, because we're going to expand even more into, I think, the GLP-1s, and because all three of us have been on
a little bit more coaching on that call and give some more strategic feedback versus just
there we go.
Yeah,
so,
and those
coaching.
patrons get to actually ask Jamie personally. Yeah, on the call, they can do a phone call in, they can type in. Like, it's pretty cool setup for the expert call. So you definitely want to join that. It is the $10 tier or higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
So now
Jamie.
tell them where they
So
can find you.
I have a couple of different services, but the main program I offer is the Tribe. It is the Real Insights of Bariatric Eating. It is my membership program. I have supported thousands of bariatric patients since 2020. And the way it works, it's essentially a virtual course where you go through all of my modules, where I have video trainings and workbooks to teach you all of this that I've been talking about, this approach to nutrition after weight loss surgery. But in conjunction, we have a virtual live calendar. So you can join dozens of support calls that are primarily led by my Tribe leaders. So I have other credentialed professionals who have had weight loss surgery in their leading support groups. It's an incredible community. We actually just rolled out a brand new community platform. So it's more interactive. We have really cool options for like ways to join support groups and way more user friendly. So we have some really cool new features. And I've recently implemented a tiered approach. So we have our baseline membership, which is $99 per month. You get, again, dozens of support calls, all the resources, hundreds of recipes. We've got workout videos, community forum in there. You get all of that for the $99 per month. Or we now have the VIP option, which is $149 per month, where in addition to all that, you get access to group coaching calls with me personally, as well as our own private VIP community where I can look at your food journals and give you feedback. I can give you personalized, customized advice. It was a more affordable price point for more individualized support and guidance.
I love that.
That's really cool.
So we
That's
have
really
cool now. But that is the main program. It has supported thousands of people. So many people are not just hitting their weight loss goals, but implementing all the mindset work that I put in there to actually not just lose weight, but like enjoy the process while you do it.
Yeah.
To find that peace and that grace for yourself and actually make this more enjoyable. So that's primarily what I do. You can find all of that at my website, www.thesleepdietitian.com. I also, while you're there, please check out my blog. I have been really passionate about my blog recently. I've been doing lots of blog posts. So please go in there, check that out, take a look. You checking out my free resources is helpful for both of us because you get resources. And then my goal with my blog is to get it more recognized, and the more clicks Google has from it, the more it pops up on other, analytics and things. So the more clicks my website gets, the better. So
yes, always.
Same for us, our sleeplifepodcast.com.
Yes. Yes.
At the very least, please go check out my website. I've worked really hard on it, and I have lots of free resources there through the
It's beautiful. Yeah, and the resources really do help.
Yeah.
Like I can't stress enough how much not being just like great friends with Jamie, but being a client of hers helped me. And it's actually helped now that I've regained, yes, for the second time. Thank you, universe.
Here we are.
Those shortbread cookies. But it really has helped me this time around too, because I'm not panicking.
Yeah.
Like, I think the first time I was just full on panicking and just trying to do anything and see what stuck.
The thing is, and we could close with this, but weight loss is not linear. You are not going to just lose weight, get to your goal, and ta-da, that is where you stay the rest of your life. Obesity is a disease. It is a chronic disease. And I don't say any of that to instill fear in people, but I want them to know that it's normal if your weight fluctuates. While the goal is to always keep the majority of the weight off long term, it is highly unlikely any one of us will keep all of it off for the rest of our entire lives. There's going to be ups and downs. But what matters most is getting back on track, getting back to the things that you know are healthy for you and doing your very best. Because again, it's not just about the weight or number on the scale, it's about your health. And it's sometimes things are going to pop up. Life's going to happen. You could end up with a horribly difficult pregnancy. You could end up with depression. Who knows? There's all sorts of things, but just know that there are immense amounts of tools and research and resources in our community to help. So whether that is reaching out to me, reaching out to Mel and Kelly, reaching out to your surgical bariatric team, finding a company that can support you with GLP-1s, whatever that looks like, just know that you have many tools at your disposal. And I don't want anyone feeling shame if they're sitting here struggling with their own bit of regain. No one is immune to it. Even us dietitians who know all the things. Bodies are weird and hormones are weird and things happen. So just know that that's part of the journey for most people.
Yeah, regain does not discriminate.
It does not.
At all.
It's very
So
humbling.
it is very, very humbling.
Yes.
And just know, like Jamie is saying, the resources are here. We are here to help. That is why me and Kel hasn't left. That's why Jamie hasn't left the community. Because we're literally want to be pillars in the community, help and get you any resources you might need. And we've actually had to reach out to Jamie, like, hey, we don't know this. Can you help? We've had people message us and we got them surgeries. Like, we try to make sure you can be the healthiest
I've always said, I always want to be that go-to trusted resource. So even if you have a question of where to go, it might take me a little bit to get back to you because I got a baby at home, but like I do always answer my DMs. I always answer my email. If we can point you in the right direction, give you a referral to somebody else who might be a better fit, give you options.
Yeah.
Like I'm always happy to be that contact person to try and guide you the best I can.
Yeah, same. Well, thank you for being on, sharing where you're at now. I mean, we'll just have to have you more often on the show.
No, I'm excited.
Yes.
Especially for next week since we get to talk to you again.
I know.
Yes.
It was so good to see you guys. Thank you for having me. It's been too long, but I'm so happy to be back.
Yes. All right. So everybody make sure that you go sign up on patreon.com/OSLP so that you can be a part of the live expert call tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time.
I have one more thing to add real quick with that.
Okay.
Is that also, guys, go get your tickets for JBY because that's in April. It's April 12th. Jamie will be there.
Yes.
She has literally won the best dietitian for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she'll get a third. We don't know. But voting hasn't started yet, but tickets are on sale. They are only $150 and you literally get catering, you get DJ, you get the whole show from us. You get a free drink when you get there. You get a pink carpet. You get the live interview. You get so much for this price that we want you to have as much fun as possible. And you get to hang out with all three of us.
Yeah.
Like guaranteed, all three of us will
Yes.
be there.
Yes. We will all be there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we love you guys and we will see you next time. Bye.